Fuck Marlon Wayans. I don't know why you folks keep fucking with me. Man, what? My mama, I might just go live for the rest of the year roasting these folks. Why these folks want to leave me alone, bro?
My daughter, I have a daughter that transitioned into a son. My daughter Amai is now Kai.
Truthful.
And so
Truthful.
and so I talk about. Hey, yes. If you're gonna beef, you have to have a chest. That's first. You gotta have a chest.
Can't work at a pig
Tattoos I can't see. Don't.
The drama between Soulja Boy and Marlon Wayans has reached explosive levels. And let me tell you, this is some of the nastiest celebrity beef we've seen in a long time. What makes the whole situation even more appalling is that Soulja Boy isn't just going after Marlon anymore. He's now dragging Marlon's transgender son, Kai, into the mess as well. I mean, seriously, who does that? The entire situation is as wild and disrespectful as it gets. And it's hard to believe things escalated this far. Here's the backstory. It all began when Marlon Wayans, being the supportive and loving father that he is, publicly acknowledged and celebrated his son Kai's transition. It was a beautiful, heartwarming moment that showcased what true parental love and acceptance looks like. This moment should have been celebrated by everyone, but instead, Soulja Boy chose to take things to an absolutely disgusting level of disrespect. Soulja made underhanded comments about Marlon, implying that he was on the down low, and then had the audacity to suggest that it might run in the family. Can you believe that? This man is out here spewing hate for no reason at all. It's infuriating, but what's truly rich here is the hypocrisy. For years, there have been rumors and whispers circulating that Soulja Boy himself may be hiding something about his own sexuality, and people have even speculated that he could be what he has previously referred to as an undercover brother. For someone who has been the subject of such rumors for so long, it's baffling that Soulja would choose to drag someone else's family through the mud. Rather than minding his own business, Soulja decided to attack Marlon and his family with vile transphobic insults. The hypocrisy of it all is truly astounding. Now, you might be wondering how this entire mess even started. Well, let me fill you in. It all kicked off when Marlon Wayans had the audacity to speak his mind about Soulja Boy's performance at Trump's inauguration. On the Breakfast Club, Marlon basically said what we were all thinking, that Soulja Boy only took the gig because he was desperate for a paycheck. Let's face it, Soulja Boy's relevance in the music industry has been non-existent for years, and no one was exactly clamoring to see him perform for the former president. Marlon's comment was a harmless bit of truth, but apparently Soulja couldn't handle even the slightest criticism of his so-called legacy in the music industry. As expected, Soulja Boy, known for his massive ego and his inability to take any sort of critique, went ballistic. He jumped on X, formerly Twitter, and started going off on Marlon, calling him the B word and claiming he wasn't funny. Like, seriously? We're talking about Marlon Wayans here, a comedy legend whose entire family is known for making people laugh. This wasn't just a regular back and forth. Soulja Boy's response quickly spiraled into pure hate speech, completely out of left field. For reasons no one can fully comprehend, Soulja took things to an entirely different level by attacking Marlon's transgender son, Kai, for no reason whatsoever. He openly questioned Kai's transition in the most disrespectful and transphobic way imaginable. It wasn't even about the inauguration anymore. Soulja Boy just went off the deep end, spewing hate without any thought for the consequences. But let me tell you, Marlon Wayans was not having it. He was not about to let a washed-up rapper disrespect him or his family without a response. Marlon hit back hard, and he did it with the kind of savage wit only a Wayans can deliver. First, he clowned Soulja Boy's non-existent career, saying that if Soulja had won, maybe he could get canceled for the slander. But since Soulja hasn't been relevant since 2007, it's clear he's just a relic of the past. When I read that, I literally screamed because it was such a brutally true observation. Then Marlon came for Soulja Boy's name in the most savage way possible, mocking the fact that Soulja is now in his 30s. but still insists on calling himself Soulja Boy. Marlon pointed out how ridiculous it is for a grown man to still be using the word boy as part of his name. He even threw in a devastating line, saying, "The last time someone called you boy, they were probably throwing you some spare change for a dance." Let me tell you, the shade was so thick, you could cut it with a knife. Marlon wasn't holding anything back, and it was glorious. Soulja Boy's desperate attempt to attack Marlon and his family backfired in a major way. Instead of getting the upper hand, he ended up looking even worse than before. Marlon's response was not only hilarious, but also completely justified. He stood up for his son and his family in the face of pure nastiness, and in doing so, he absolutely cooked Soulja Boy to a crisp. The drama between these two is a mess, but at the end of the day, Marlon came out looking like the bigger, smarter person, and Soulja Boy's own behavior made him look like a fool. So, while the beef between Soulja Boy and Marlon Wayans is far from over, one thing is clear: don't mess with Marlon Wayans or his family. You will not win.
Can't do two songs, and I only remember one of them. Watch me, you. It's beef with me. Get out of here. I'll put you in one of the movies. I need a crackhead for the new scary.
The real knockout punch came when Marlon hit Soulja Boy, where it hurt the most. He posted a picture of himself and delivered an absolutely brutal takedown, saying, "My son had top surgery and still has more chest than you." I nearly died laughing when I read that. It was the kind of clapback you just can't recover from, and Soulja Boy was left completely speechless. After that devastating roast, Soulja had nothing left in his arsenal. Instead of coming back with something clever, he resorted to reposting other people laughing at Marlon's jokes. It was clear to everyone watching that Soulja Boy had completely fumbled not only the bag, but the entire beef. He was out of his depth going up against a professional comedian like Marlon Wayans, and it showed that, let's be real here, Soulja Boy has zero business talking about anyone's gender identity, especially considering the rumors and whispers about his own sexuality. For years, people have speculated that he might be what he calls an undercover brother. Yet here he is, trying to drag someone else for their gender identity. The cognitive dissonance is astounding. It's honestly hard to make sense of any of this, because it just doesn't add up. Soulja Boy's hypocrisy in all of this is beyond belief.
I think it's a lot of undercover brothers in the industry.
Oh no, Queen!
Here's another thing that makes this whole situation even more suspicious and cringeworthy. Have you noticed that every time Soulja Boy gets involved in some controversy, he's also promoting something new? It's like clockwork. Right in the middle of his nasty drama with Marlon, he was conveniently hyping up a cryptocurrency scheme and pushing new music that absolutely nobody asked for. So, I have to ask, was this really about Marlon's comments, or was Soulja just desperate for attention and relevance? It's giving major publicity stunt vibes, like he needs to stay in the spotlight because his music certainly isn't getting any buzz. It's all just so transparent. And of course, Marlon spotted that desperate, transparent move and came crashing down on Soulja even harder. He took things to a whole new level when he dropped an entire diss track aimed directly at Soulja Boy. But here's the brilliant twist. Instead of rapping himself, Marlon used AI to generate a country song. The creativity alone deserves an award. The diss track went all in on Soulja, and it was both hilarious and brutally savage. The combination of creativity, humor, and savage bars left no room for Soulja to recover, and at that point, it was crystal clear Marlon Wayans had won this beef hands down. Soulja Boy, completely outmatched.
Soulja Boy's on Krenak and meth. I can smell it on his breath. Yes, he's on that creth. It's Krenak and meth.
The lyrics in this AI-generated country diss track are nothing short of savage, leaving Soulja Boy absolutely demolished. The track doesn't hold back in accusing Soulja of being a serious substance addict who would do anything for a fix. Brutal lines like, "Soulja Boy's on crack and meth, I can smell it on his breath," cut deep. But it didn't stop there. There was a jaw-dropping punchline that left everyone speechless. Soulja would suck on a D just for that rock, and he looks like Flavor Flav without the clock. Honestly, I nearly fell out of my chair when I heard that part. The disrespect was on a whole other level, and it was clear that Marlon was having absolutely none of it. Marlon didn't stop there, either. He continued to tear Soulja apart, calling him a washed-up scammer who sold his soul for Bitcoin and hasn't done anything worthwhile except game and sell trash cryptocurrency to his unsuspecting fans. But the final nail in Soulja's career coffin was when Marlon completely obliterated Soulja's musical legacy by pointing out that his only real hit was Crank, that from way back in 2007, and now he has nothing left to show for his so-called career. Marlon basically said what we've all been thinking. Soulja Boy's moment in the spotlight is long gone, and he's been irrelevant for years. What makes this whole situation even more pathetic and hilarious is that Soulja Boy was talking all this big game beforehand, acting like he was about to drop a career-ending diss track of his own. He even teased a snippet that was frankly sad and uninspired, where he rapped, "I'm a real street ninja, I ain't never watched Marlon Wayans." But when it came down to it, Soulja was just talking a big game, with absolutely nothing to show for it. Meanwhile, Marlon struck first, and he did it hard. He came out swinging with the AI-generated country song diss, and it had the entire internet absolutely losing it. People were rolling on the floor laughing as Marlon's clever and savage approach dismantled Soulja's ego. Through all of this ugly drama, one thing is clear: Marlon has consistently proven himself to be a real one when it comes to supporting his son, Kai. Unlike Soulja, who's been spewing hatred, Marlon has always been open, honest, and loving when it comes to supporting his son unconditionally. He's posted beautiful messages of pride and support during Pride Month that would bring tears to anyone's eyes. For Kai's birthday, Marlon wrote an incredibly touching message. "I've always asked people to love me unconditionally. Thank you for teaching me what that really means." I'm not even trying to be dramatic, but I literally had tears streaming down my face when I read that. That's the essence of true parental love. Unconditional, unwavering, and publicly proud. What makes Marlon even more admirable is that this isn't the first time he's stood up for the LGBTQ+ community as a whole. Just last year, he publicly called out Elon Musk for disowning his transgender daughter, saying it made him absolutely furious and that you don't treat your young ones like that. Marlon has consistently been on the right side of history when it comes to supporting the trans community, which makes Soulja's attacks even more disgusting and unwarranted. The hypocrisy is off the charts. Soulja Boy, who's been the subject of rumors about his own sexuality for years, had no business launching these attacks, especially when Marlon has always been an ally and a loving father. As you can imagine, the internet wasted no time chiming in on the drama between Soulja Boy and Marlon Wayans, and opinions were definitely split. Some surprisingly felt that Soulja actually got the upper hand in the exchange, with one user commenting, "In my opinion, Soulja destroyed Marlon. Marlon started it by talking about performing for Trump, and Soulja responded by saying, 'Dude, you actually dressed up as a white girl and you're talking about me? What else needs to be said?' Pot calling the kettle black." Honestly, I had to reread that comment several times because I couldn't believe someone actually thought Soulja came out on top in this situation. Are we watching the same drama unfold? Are we living in the same reality? Because the vast majority of people saw this ending exactly how it did, with Soulja taking a massive, humiliating L. Everyone with a functioning brain knew this wouldn't go well for Soulja from the moment he decided to go after a professional comedian like Marlon Wayans. Marlon's comedic brilliance, creativity, and ability to roast with precision are unmatched, and it was clear from the start that Soulja was completely out of his depth. What should have been a simple back and forth turned into a one-sided slaughter, with Marlon taking home the victory. In the end, Soulja's desperate attempt to stay relevant fell flat, and Marlon's savage response had him looking completely foolish. I don't think any of us expected this level of absolute destruction. One person perfectly summarized the entire situation by writing, "Soulja Boy, the first rapper to get bodied by a comedian." And honestly, they nailed it with that one. What's particularly interesting about this whole mess is how it highlights the ongoing issues of transphobia in the hip-hop community. For years, hip-hop has struggled with homophobia and transphobia, and Soulja's comments are unfortunately just the latest example of this deeply rooted issue. But what's refreshing and gives me hope is seeing someone like Marlon Wayans, who comes from the equally problematic comedy world that has often relied on transphobic jokes, stand up so firmly and proudly for his transgender son. Marlon's unwavering support for Kai represents a significant shift in how some celebrities are approaching LGBTQ+ issues, especially when it comes to their own children. He's setting an incredible example for other parents of transgender kids, showing them that love, acceptance, and public support are what truly matter. The fact that he's willing to go to war with anyone who disrespects his son, even if it means creating an AI-generated country diss track, just proves how deep his love and commitment really go. The contrast between Marlon's mature, loving approach and Soulja's childish, hateful attacks couldn't be more stark. It really shows the difference between someone who's evolved with the times and someone stuck in an outdated mindset that relies on cheap shots and bigotry for attention. Speaking of attention, let's not forget that while all this drama was unfolding, Soulja Boy was conveniently promoting his cryptocurrency and new music. It's a pattern we've seen from him time and time again. Start some controversy, get people talking, then try to capitalize on the attention. But this time, his plan backfired spectacularly. Instead of getting people interested in his new projects, all he managed to do was remind everyone why he's become increasingly irrelevant in the music industry. Marlon, on the other hand, didn't need this beef to stay relevant. He's consistently working in Hollywood, appearing in movies and TV shows, and maintaining his status as one of comedy's most recognizable faces. He didn't engage with Soulja for clout. He did it to defend his family, which makes his takedown all the more satisfying to watch. This entire situation also speaks to a broader issue in celebrity culture, the desperation for relevance that drives some stars to say and do increasingly outrageous things. Soulja Boy's willingness to attack not just Marlon, but his transgender son shows just how far some celebrities will go to stay in the headlines. It's a sad commentary on fame and what it can do to people who once had it, but are watching it slip away. So, what do you think about this whole messy situation? Is Soulja Boy just trolling for attention, or does he genuinely believe the transphobic nonsense he's spewing? Did Marlon go too hard with his responses? Or did Soulja absolutely have it coming after dragging an innocent family member into the beef? And perhaps the biggest question of all, why does Soulja always seem to be involved in messy drama, but never actually in the recording studio making music people want to hear? Drop your thoughts in the comments section below, and don't forget to smash that like and subscribe button for more juicy stories. We're always bringing you the latest tea, the hottest gossip, and the most dramatic celebrity feuds, so make sure you're subscribed to never miss an update. Until next time, keep it real and keep it messy.